This is crazy. I've never done this before, guys. Oh, but here we go. So, whoever hears this is supposed to hear this. Um, okay, here we go. My name is Sarah, and this is my podcast that I'm hoping to get more vulnerable in, called It's a Sarah's Life podcast. I thought I was doing this podcast more of like an autobiography, where I would kind of share my past. And then eventually I knew the more I started getting closer to the present time, my emotions were going to be a lot more raw, a lot more free, way more vulnerable, because I'm an unleashed emotional woman. And when I tell anyone something personal of my life, it's hard not to be in that moment or remember that moment. Um, but something happened last Wednesday that I was not expecting. It was my very first panic attack in front of people that I didn't know. And again, I don't know if you can see me, but I want you to hear this. So remember, I'm 45. And I've been through a lot of counseling, and I have tried to work through all of my trauma and emotionalness and any mental health and anything that's caused me to be held back in my life, to not live the best life that I know that I can, or to find my purpose. But I will say that I felt like something was coming for about a solid week. I have an 11-year-old son who is in 5th grade and just started getting bullied at school. And if you heard my first podcast, I had said that I was going through some bullying in about 6th grade. So I didn't think that it was going to happen this soon. And if you are a parent, or you just have an abundance amount of heart when you see someone else struggle that you can't fix and you can't help, it's like literally heartbreaking. So my son started losing weight. He started not eating because the anxiety was so bad. He started falling asleep in class. His grades started to falter. And he's such a wonderful, wonderful, sweet soul. And he's very short, and he's very skinny. And so I think he was just an easy target, and he did not know how to handle it. But because mom had been doing all of her work, and I have been just trying to show emotional vulnerability with my children, but also emotional regulation, I wanted to hopefully provide a spot where he knew that mom and dad loved him, and that it is okay, and we will be there for him, and we will talk him through it. All of his teachers had reached out to me by email, so the school was wonderful and understanding. And I handled it. I really feel like I handled it beautifully. My husband was like, Sarah, you are just a rock star when it comes to making people feel comfortable to be themselves, to be vulnerable, especially for our children. But I didn't realize that I wasn't able to shake or dismiss or get that feeling of what I couldn't control, maybe from my son. I realized I also had about 5 days of poor sleep. I noticed my anxiety starting to come back, and at this point, I know to kind of stop and pause, take a deep breath, remind myself that I'm safe, that I'm okay, that I have people around me that love me, that I know where to go. So I guess I thought I had it more under control, but I didn't. So last Wednesday, every month, about once a month, I sing in the church praise team. It's good for my soul. So we went there and we went around the room and we prayed about what we need to pray for. And all I could think about was praying for my son. And they said, well, that's got to be really tough. It's one thing when we go through it, but to watch, someone that doesn't know how to handle that quite yet. And I couldn't look at him because I just didn't want to cry. But I knew if I just sang, because saying is like my stress reliever, incorrect English. Singing is my stress reliever. So I just knew that I wanted to start singing the songs that we were practicing for church. But when I got up to the podium where the music stand, I started getting kind of really easily stressed out. I couldn't hear myself in my earbuds, my ear pods that we, do so we can hear ourselves, the monitor. And I remember walking back and trying to adjust, but it was like nothing was coming through of what I could understand. And, again, if you heard my first podcast, this all started from an accident that I had in 2023. So the only thing that I could relate to with what was happening was what had happened when I had my concussion. When you go through a brain injury, you reach a point where it's like your emotions and your mental state is like really hard to like regulate. I remember getting very forgetful. So I know that what I was feeling was just very irritated that I couldn't get the sound right. And then I remember trying to find out where the song map was that we were supposed to follow and the words. And the best way I can explain it, it was like looking at a language that I didn't know how to comprehend. And the wonderful praise team leader kind of was like, all right, Sarah, let me take you over so we can adjust where you can hear yourself better. And as he was walking me to the sound area, I just got this overwhelming of embarrassment because I could feel something was coming and I didn't know what it was. And so I remember taking my hand and holding it like up on top of my head because I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed. I don't know what's going to happen. And he walked, back and got his guitar. And when I walked back, it was like the floodgates opened and I just started crying. And I couldn't read what was in front of me. And every part of my body wanted to run. I wanted to run away because I didn't feel safe where I was. But I couldn't. My feet were literally glued to the ground. I couldn't go anywhere. I just had to let it happen. And I kept trying to breathe. And I kept telling myself, like, Sarah, you're okay. You're okay. But it was happening around like 6 other people that I didn't know, and nobody stopped me. Nobody did anything. I felt dumb. I felt stupid. I couldn't read. Like, music is one thing I know how to do, and I couldn't do it, and I couldn't hear myself. And I just had to stand there, which felt like forever. And like I said, I don't think anyone knew what to do. Because how often do we talk about this? How often do we stop ourselves enough to listen to what our bodies are telling us? I knew that I needed to release and I couldn't. I was like watching every sad movie I could think of to try to cry, but I wasn't crying. I wasn't releasing what was happening around me. I was just being super mom and super wife and super friend, and I wasn't super with myself. So it felt like it was like 30 minutes of crying nonstop, and I had to raise my hand because I felt like I needed to explain myself, like what was happening, so these people would think that I'm crazy. And then the lead pastor came over and he's like, Sarah, what do you need? And I was like, I can't read anything. I don't know what's happening. And he put his arm around me and he says, Sarah, can I pray for you? And I'm like, hell yeah, you could pray for me because I don't know what's going on. And he did, but it still did. Like, I knew that I must have been going through this for a reason, not only for myself, but I think it was to show people that, like, this stuff is real and it happens, and it doesn't matter if you're 45 years old and you know that you can do it. Because it was happening and there was not a damn thing I could do about it. I just had to just let it happen. And so it continued the whole rest of the practice. And like I said, I wanted to leave and I couldn't leave because I was glued. I was just glued to the floor. And then I remember I kind of fell to my knees and I kept rocking like back and forth, back and forth. Oh, and I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. And I kept apologizing. I'm sorry. I won't be like this Sunday. I won't be like this Sunday. Meaning that, like, this was practice and we were practicing for Sunday's, church service. About whatever I was happening needed to happen. And then the sound guy came up and he introduced himself, and I couldn't remember what his name was, but he came up and almost gave me, like, the biggest compliment of saying, you don't know how vulnerable this is. And when I told them that I'd gotten the car accident, that I had the concussion, because that's all I thought. I thought I was, like, relapsing, and I was, like, freaking out. I had no idea that this was a panic attack. I didn't think I was going to have one, but I did. I will tell you that it took probably another 20 minutes for me to kind of collect myself in order to drive home, because what's worse, drinking and driving or having like a panic anxiety attack, I mean, it was just the same thing. You're stupid if you get in the car. Anyways, I slept really, really hard. And I have been really, really tired since then. It's like being jet lagged. Your body's just like emotionally and mentally drained. And I still just want to sleep. And so, today is just Manic Monday. It's just a Monday, and I'm gonna let myself feel this, and I'm gonna work through it, because that's what I do, and that's why I started the podcast, because I want you guys to know that you're not alone. And I seriously I love everyone, and I love pets, and I love, but I have to remember that I have to love myself too. So, however this is working, like I said, I don't know if I pushed the right buttons. I don't even know if this is reaching anybody, but I'm going to record it because I think it's important. And when you hear episode 2 of the podcast, it's going to go right back to me reading off, kind of like script in a way, because that's how I can do it right now. But I promise when I get to the hard stuff, make sure you pull over in the car, because the stuff I'll talk about is just, it's hard and it's real, and I know I'm not the only one that's gone through these things. But you're not alone, okay? It's point blank, you're not alone. And I wish I could be there for every single person that struggles for anything, because I'm a really, really good person to sit in your crap with. Like I can handle it, I can be there for you. But I also need to make sure, as the caregiver and as the friend, that I learn to take care of myself. So, whoever's hearing this, just... Sorry, I had to blow my nose. But just know that, I'm still working through it, and I'm a little late on my second episode, but there's a good reason. And I'm just going to sit in this, and I'm just going to take one day at a time, because that's what you have to do, right? The world doesn't stop spinning, right? You just have to learn how to just slow down, give yourself grace. So, on this Monday, I just want to wish you all a wonderful, wonderful day. And thank you for being with me as I shared that vulnerability moment. It's not easy because I want to show you my strength, but at the same time, this is strength, right? This is strength because this is real. This is real. And the tough stuff that all of us go through are real, and those are just as valid as the good stuff. So, as always, I love you all unconditionally. And just thank you for being a part of It's a Serenus Life podcast and lives. Because I really hope that I can change the world just one day at a time. Thank you so much. Oh, and I don't know how to turn this off. I literally don't.